being evil looks kind of fun. If you could choose a Chaos Legion, which one would it be? Make sure to answer in the comments, questions, emails, wherever. Andrew, hit us. What would your Chaos Legion be?
So this is actually the second army that I'm going to build. Eventually, it's going to be a Death Guard army, hopefully backed up by a Chaos Knight. I love Mortarion.
Ooh.
I think he's so cool. I think the Death Guard are awesome. Like, Nurgle seems like a pretty decent dad. He's got that sweet dad bod.
Dude, I would go with... So here's the thing. 10th edition's coming out, and this is actually... I have two answers, and it really depends on how much the Thousand Sons suck, because I actually would love to play Thousand Sons. I actually think Magnus is a really, really cool character, even though he's... In the lore, he's like one of the weakest of the Traitor Parmex because he gets shattered by Leman Russ. And his power is like all over the place. But like having a legion of like mostly psychers, I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, this legion should have won the war by themselves.
Mhm.
Like, what's going on here? So I would choose that. And also because I think it's the Bringer of Change, I think it is, or the Great, something like that. The pinnacle like chaos demon of Tzeentch is super cool.
Yeah, the Tzeentch demons are really fun to look at. I actually like the Tzeentch demons appearance more than I do like Nurglings and things. If I were to play Chaos Demons, I would probably run Tzeentch and Khorne. And of course, Be'lakor.
If I were to go on... Yeah, of course, Be'lakor's like stupidly cool. If I were to run on just aesthetics, though, I would go Black Legion because I love the black and gold of Abaddon's forces.
Yeah. And Abaddon as a Lord of War is a really good choice. Although in his new data sheet, which I'm probably getting a little too far ahead.
Yeah, we'll cover more of it.
Yeah, I won't spoil it. Welcome to Talk About Tatooine. I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan.
And we are twin brothers here to bring you what's new in nerddom and give colorful commentary on our favorite subjects. Welcome to our cantina. Grab a drink and settle in as we set course for realities beyond our own. I actually grabbed a drink. I made some iced coffee just in a SodaStream bottle because that's what I had. I had some water in it earlier and I didn't want to get a new cup. So the last one, I was like, my throat was like completely parched by the time we were done. I was like, people don't let me talk this much, so I'm not used to it. I'm a dorky engineer. My idea, ladies and gentlemen, my ideal good day at work is if no one bothers me with anything. I just get to sit at my desk and get work done, maybe play the crossword, and then I go home.
If I didn't get bothered by people, I technically probably made no money that day. So
yeah,
that makes sense. So we're jumping right into it, guys. This episode is about Chaos Space Marines. We have got just a few data sheets, and as of today, the rules for 10th edition are available to download on warhammercommunity.com.
Yeah.
So do that. Refresh yourself. Guys, if we had infinite time in the world, we will have had covered every single faction focus, every single rules update, everything. But that takes a lot of time. So today's sponsor is our Patreon page. For even $5 a month, you guys can support everything that's going on here. What we're really focusing on right now is building up our Patreon base so we can start investing in some new softwares. So we can get some heightened recording equipment, some editing softwares, things like that. We'd love to be able to go in on Adobe Premiere, but we're not. We need to make sure we have that support before we make those big dives. But those will actually make it a lot easier for us to streamline our work, get more stuff out to you guys. And so that way, if you guys are already receiving the benefit of, getting this podcast for free, all that fun stuff, you guys can get even more content back as well. So yeah, that's our Patreon here, guys. We've got a lot of data sheets to cover, army updates and new rules. So buckle up and make sure you guys get ready for a #new 40K info dump because it's going to be showered upon you with the false emperor's blessings.
As a disclaimer, we are talking about the proper Chaos Space Marine legions. Those legions that have given themselves over to specific dark gods will be covered in later episodes, i.e. the World Eaters, the Thousand Sons, the Death Guard, and rumor has it, the Emperor's Children, perhaps? So really what we're talking about is the legions that are under the umbrella of Chaos Undivided. Alpha Legion, Black Legion, the Night Lords, and a couple others.
Since we have already covered the Space Marines and Tyranids, make sure you guys go back and watch those episodes if you guys haven't already. But we're going to be picking up on Chaos Space Marines. The bad boys themselves are going to be getting some changes, and we might be able to do some crazy things on the battlefield for the right price. Now, if you guys are watching this on video, up on the screen, you guys are going to see the Dark Pax rule up there. So this one is going to be fun. Basically, everyone in the Chaos Space Marine faction makes a deal with the devil. The Taint of Chaos grants boons to its champions, but at a price. How this manifests itself on the tabletop is you will get access to the Dark Pax ability. This will allow a unit to gain one of two abilities, either lethal hits or sustained hits. Now, guys, just a refresher, if you guys aren't familiar with the ability rules, lethal hits grant a mortal wound on a 6 on the hit roll, and sustained hits grants an extra hit on 6. So choose wisely. If you're trying to take down one large target, mortal wounds might be a little bit better, but if you're shooting into a bigger unit, sustained hits might provide you a larger opportunity to wound that unit.
For sure. And with some of these different rules, they're not different rules. They're rules being consolidated, giving a title so that it's a little bit easier to remember. We are hoping to do rules roundup on our YouTube page, or our YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok pages. So we'll be putting out shorts and reels and things on that, explaining these different rules, as well as you can also just download the new rules. But if you're too lazy and don't want to do that, well, we got your back.
Absolutely, which I would encourage you, be lazy, listen to our stuff. That helps us out a ton. Absolutely. Then we go into, we're going to be kind of covering the first data sheet. Now, we got two data sheets in this faction focus here, guys. We got the data sheets for the Legionnaires, and we got the the data sheet for Abaddon the Despoiler as well. Yeah, totally killed it. So the war gear options on this is pretty impressive. I don't know if you have taken a look at this yet, Andrew, but this is...
I have, yeah.
They've got a lot of stuff in here. Now, keep in mind, it's really, really important to focus on kind of the extra rules sheet as well. So, for example, for every 5 units or every 5 models in the units, a legionary bolt gun can be replaced with one of the following, and duplicates are not allowed. So, and then it lists plasma pistol, flamer, havoc autocannon, heavy bolter, las cannon, melt-a-gun, missile launcher, plasma gun, and one reaper chain cannon. So, really, really important, because you can't throw multiple of these into a squad. Different weapons are going to do different things against different units, and you can't just be like, oh, well, I'm going to take 5 melt-a-guns. Like, you can't do that. According to the data sheet, you can take up to 10 models, and so you'll be able to add basically 2 heavy weapons into the list here. So keep that in mind. 2 heavy weapons, no repeating, essentially, is how it comes, what it comes down to.
And similarly to the regular Space Marine squads, they'll have one unit leader. In this case, instead of a Chaos Space Marine sergeant, it is one aspiring champion,
which I'm super excited about. It's going to feel pretty good. It's going to feel pretty chaosy to me. You can also put some special war gear on here as well, because that was one of my first worries, was like looking through these. I was like, okay, where is the Chaos icon? And where is the Baleful Tome? Which I was like, because if they lose those war gear options, then they're going to lose a lot of versatility as well. So that's going to be pretty important to be able to keep some of those in there.
Yeah, it's really nice. Now the Chaos icon is just totally baked in. Each time this Bears unit takes the leadership test with the Dark Pax ability, you can reroll that test. That's good. Battle Shock is going to be a huge component to the next edition of Warhammer, and being able to either reroll or just completely ignore it is going to be massive.
That's going to be so nice.
Dark Angels.
Also, I will say that the art that they have for the data sheets on here, like, oh, dude, again, this is why I want to play Black Legion. Like, the black and gold is so cool looking. I'm like, why would you not want to play these guys? Oh, they did such a good job.
It looks really sharp. Looking at the ranged weapons for the Legionnaires or Legionaries, what's your favorite? What 2 heavy weapons are you going to take with this squad?
So I'm always a fan of being able to shoot really, really well. And so I'm most likely going to be taking probably not the Reaper chain cannon, because that is a 4 ballistic skill, and I'm tired of playing orcs where I literally can't shoot and hit anything. So I would probably end up taking I would probably lean towards something that has a little bit longer range. The Havoc autocannon sounds kind of fun, and the Flamer sounds kind of fun as well. But the Flamer has really short range. If I wanted, I could just go Flamer Melta and just do like a Scorched Earth policy, and that would
Mhm.
make this unit a little bit better against infantry and would make it a little bit better against vehicles as well.
Let's see. I probably see. I'm a little different. I actually probably would go for the Reaper chain cannon. I just think it's pretty good. It's a lot of shots. 8 shots isn't bad. With strength 5, that's gonna really tear through other Space Marines pretty well when those hit. In addition to being able to, oh, never mind. I was gonna say Veterans of the Long War, which is one of their abilities. That's only for melee attacks. That's like, and they get to reroll. It's like, no, that's not what that is.
Just when they're stabbing.
Just when they're stabbing. Yeah, I would go Reaper Chain Cannon and Melt-A-Gun. It's going to be a Strength 9 for their Melt-A-Gun, which is not enough to burn through a tank. We saw in 9th, and this is really important, because in 9th edition, you could just run Melta and kill everything, right? I mean, Melta is the kill-all weapon. In 10th edition, that is not the case.
Yeah, because you get one attack, and that means, or I guess it has Melta too, but still, it's like you get one base attack, which means like, cool, like if you're shooting it into an infantry squad, you can kill one model.
Yes.
You can kill that one model really easily, but like...
really easily. It's a character killer is really what it is. It's going to be able to kill maybe walker type units or larger, more elite infantry, but it's not a tank killer. When toughness values are in the 10 digits now for tanks, this is not going to cut it. You have to have better weapons. And that's really what we see in the lore is Astartes regular legionaries are not tank killers. They are good for mowing down hordes and hordes of infantry and elite infantry too, and just keep on trucking. But when it comes to vehicles, that's where they're really going to struggle.
Yeah.
This is where things like your Chaos Rhinos and your Land Raiders and your Chaos Knights are going to come in with their freaky spiky harpoon with strength 20 and just spear anything they want, you know? Let's see. Is there anything else notable about the Legionaries that we need to know?
Honestly, they're looking pretty standard. Again, this is just the battle line unit, so this is following the same pattern that Games Workshop has been giving us so far. It's giving us a battle line data sheet, it's giving us a leader data sheet, and then it's usually followed by some weapon highlights. So once we get the indices or indexes, I still don't know what the plural of index is.
But decimals.
In decimals. So once we get that, then we'll be able to really compare, and we don't know the points cost for these. So
that's huge. We have no idea how much this is going to cost, because we know that the deployment points are not changing. A combat patrol is 500 points. Then it goes up to 1,000, 1,500, and then 200 for an onslaught or whatever. So we don't know if taking 10 legionaries is going to take up a lot of your points cap. What is that going to look like? Is this going to be a usable main battle line for things like boarding action, which I still haven't played boarding action. I really want to, although I won't be able to get the flamethrower Marines by our next Warhammer game, which I think we planned our Warhammer game, our last 9th edition game, on the 24th of this month, which is when 10th edition comes out.
Oh gosh. So that's like our official last hurrah of 9th edition then.
Yep. Sure is.
All right.
I had no idea. Yeah. So that's a little bit of news too, which came out this morning. I woke up to that news. 10th edition comes out on the 24th of this month of June in the year of our Lord 2023. Take out those loans and get money from grandma, because
y'all are going to need it.
Y'all are going to need it. I'm splitting a box with a buddy of ours, so I will be able to get my hands on the new Space Marines range from that box. So I'm pretty excited about that. Gonna
When are the
have
orcs going to
another
get some love? And why are orcs still so bad at shooting? Please be better at shooting.
Well, I mean, you have to think of them as a melee army. It stinks because then if you can't
Deca is part of their religion.
It is, and it's a dumb religion.
Well, yeah, it's a dumb religion. They're orcs, but still, I'm like, I wish they were better at shooting.
They're like the reasonableists from Parks and Rec. They're like, we'll just make up whatever we want.
Anything else you have on the Legionnaires?
I have nothing left on the Legionnaires, and I have no more hate for the orcs yet. Although
that's fair.
You've beaten me with orcs. I mean, I'm not a good Warhammer player, but I lose so often. I really hope the Space Marines are better.
My main hang-up, I will say, guys, is I like to be able to be effective in all phases, and orcs are not effective in the shooting phase.
Yeah, it makes those phases feel really wasted. That's actually one thing I'm really happy that the psychic phase is being incorporated into other phases, because then armies that don't have either any psyker units or you just physically don't own those psyker units, it doesn't feel like you're just missing out on a part of the game, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I agree. All right, guys, moving on to Abaddon, the Despoiler. Again, beautifully done art on the data sheet here. I kind of like Abaddon, like a lot. And that would be super cool. Would love to play. He just, he looks nice. He looks
What's
real
that on
nice.
top of his head?
A ponytail.
He's got a ponytail, told you.
It's more of a top knot, but yeah.
It's a top tail.
Top tail.
It's a friendship is magic ponytail. Top knot.
Anyways, my first looking at this sheet, the first thing you see is Abaddon of the Spoiler, movement characteristic of 5 inches. I was really salty. It's horrible. He does have deep strike, but keep in mind, that means he's not going to be making his way across the board very quickly. Imagine deep striking him. He's probably going to get within range of whatever he needs to, probably pretty quick, as long as you do a really good charge roll. And then I was just thinking back to our last Warhammer episode, like, what if you hit him with a disruption bombardment and that shortens his movement characteristic down to 3 inches? You'd be like, hey, see that Abaddon model you like so much? Like, I'm just going to basically freeze him in place for the rest of the game, and you could literally just move your units around him.
So you have to remember, though, that the new deep strike rule, which their PDF is searchable, which thank you so much, Games Workshop, for doing that. Non-searchable PDFs, just don't even give it to me at that point. It's rude. So when you deep strike during the during the reinforcement steps of your movement phase, you can set up your unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away horizontally from any enemy model, which means you don't get to move with them on first turn, and then you have to pass a 9-inch charge to get in. That's hard.
Yeah.
That is a high likelihood that you'll have to spend a CP to reroll that charge roll, and you still may not make it. Something I also want to point out is that Abaddon does have the leader ability, which means he can be attached to units. During the declare battle formation step for each leader in your army, if your army also includes one or more of the leader's bodyguards unit, you can select one of those bodyguards. But he does have the leader ability, so he will be able to attach to squads. If you are running the Black Legion and the War Master, who do you run as Abaddon's bodyguards?
I'm assuming some Chaos Terminators. You are probably going to want to put like units with like units, if not like explicitly required by the game. So is Abaddon in Terminator armor? Like, is that he doesn't? It's not in. Yes. Oh yeah, he does have the Terminator keyword, so he wouldn't be able to be with legionaries, for example. So like, yeah, you're probably going to put him with some Terminators. He's got a lot of keywords. He's got 2 lines of keywords. So his keywords include infantry character, epic hero, Terminator, Chaos Undivided, Chaos, Korn, Slanesh, Nurgle, Zinch, Abaddon the Despoiler. Like, they're like, we're just going to give him all of the keywords. And then he contains the faction keyword of Heretic Astartes. Like, wild. He can do the Dark Pacts, which is really, really nice. He also has auras, which in the era of no auras, he has them. So that's pretty cool. But he can choose 1 aura from the 3 that are listed on his sheet.
I really like that mechanic. So what we're seeing in these commanders of units is they have 3 auras that you can choose from, but they're not all active at the same time. You have to pick one, and based on your strategic need, that's what you have for the rest of that battle round. It's unclear if you will be able to spend CP to switch between aura abilities. I think that would be interesting. Yeah.
Kind of like combat doctrines.
Kind of like combat doctrines. Being like, okay, like, hey, I'm in this, but based on like my strategic needs, based on what my opponent just did, like maybe I want to go from Paragon of Hatred down to Lord of the Traitor Legions. So his first aura ability is Paragon of Hatred. While a friendly Heretic Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model on that unit makes an attack, you can re-roll the hit roll. That's good. So that's not a melee attack. That's not a shooting attack. That's all attacks re-rolling the hit roll. That's good. That's a good ability. If you choose that every single turn, it's not going to let you down. Next one, Mark of Chaos Ascendant. While a friendly infantry or mounted unit is within 6 inches of this model, specifically Heretic Astartes, I'm just trying to shorten it. While a friendly infantry or mounted unit is within 6 inches of this model, models in that unit have a 4-up invuln save. So if you have him in a giant blob of Terminators or actually even Legionaries would be better, they now have a 4-up invuln. So if you are hunkered down on a center objective and he is attached to a unit of Terminators and you have like 2 gunline units of Legionaries with him, you can give everyone a 4-up invuln and you're going to hold your ground. No one is going to uproot that objective from you. Invulnerable, being able to grant invulnerable saves. Again, this is a top tier aura. If you pick this one every turn, you're not going to be disappointed. And then
I'm
the
excited
final
about
one, Lord of the Traitor Legions. This is his final aura. While a friendly Heretic Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, you can re-roll leadership and battle shock tests for that unit. I don't know if I would take this one every turn, but it's good. We haven't exactly seen what the implications of battle shock tests are going to be in 10th edition. We haven't really gotten the opportunity to test out this new mechanic. My guess is being able to re-roll battle shock and avoid battle shock at all costs is going to be huge. It's not going to affect your ability to control objectives and lots of other things.
Battle shock, remind me, is 2d6, and you have to roll higher than your leadership value, correct?
Oh, is it Battle Dash Shock? It is Battle Dash Shock while searching the PDF. So let's see. Taking a Battle Dash Shock test. In this step, you must take a Battle Shock test for each of your units. This is actually this is after the command phase. The second phase is now Battle Shock phase. You roll 2d6. If the result is greater than or equal to the best leadership characteristic of that unit, so like your sergeants are going to have higher leadership. Actually, no, because the sergeants don't have an extra leadership characteristic of the rest of the unit. They used to in 10th edition. So in this case, like an aspiring champion would have had a leadership of like 5-up, but the actual legionaries would only have a 4-up leadership. That's not the case anymore. Now, your unit has 1 leadership characteristic, and you have to add a leader unit to get a better one out of that unit. So that's new. If you roll greater than or equal to the best leadership characteristic in that unit, the test is passed. So this is good now because instead of the weird dynamic of leadership and morale tests in ninth edition where you wanted to roll low. Now you want to roll high.
Which makes more sense. A higher roll should be better.
Yes. A higher roll should be better. It's only a little confusing because good leadership values are now low numbers.
Which gives you a higher probability of passing them with a high roll. So, in my opinion, This makes a little bit more sense. The battle shock effects are pretty nasty. So, if you're not familiar, listeners, with the 3 effects that take hold with battle shock, is 1, if a unit is battle shocked, you cannot use stratagems on that unit. Wild. 2, if that unit is trying to fall back, they take extra penalties. 3, which I think is going to be a literal game winner, is if a unit is battle shocked, their OC value is 0.
Yeah, that's horrible.
So if you are on an objective and then you battle shock an enemy unit, you can literally walk in to that objective like they are not even there.
Help, I'm being suppressed.
Pretty much. So again, with Abaddon, who has an OC value, objective controlled value of 4, that's pretty dang good. That's going to be awesome. So that means like most of the objectives he walks onto, he's going to be able to take and hold. Take and hold. For any of my Dawn of War fans. Anyways, so that's going to be really, really good until he gets battle shocked. So being able to inflict battle shock on other units, especially characters, is going to be really, really nice. What is it? There's a Tyrannid stratagem that you can basically force your entire army to take a battle shock test. Keep in mind, you're going to have to get pretty lucky to pass it. I think so, yeah. You're going to have to get pretty lucky to beat a 5-up leadership test. So, because that means on a roll of a 2, 3, or 4, cumulatively between 2d6 is failed. So 3 out of like 12 combinations or something like that, or 3 out of 10 combinations. No. 11 combinations. My brain works, I promise. Because you can't roll a 1 with 2 dice, but you can roll a 12. So
right, it's 2 through 12. Yeah. I do want to elaborate a little bit more. So when you're trying to fall back and you've been battle shocked, you have to make what's called a desperate escape test. And for each model in that unit, you roll a d6. On a 1 or a 2, that model is destroyed. So if you're trying to fall back and you're battle shocked, expect to take casualties, which makes sense. It's someone who, like, an artillery shell just exploded above their head. They have no idea what's going on, and now they're trying to fall back, and the enemy is on their tail. Do you know how easy it is to shoot someone in the back? Pretty easy. And that's what is narratively trying to be communicated through this rule, is because you're not making a tactical retreat, like where you're putting down like lots of covering fire, and it's like, no, dude, you're just hauling ass trying to get out of there, and it's
run away.
Like it's like, if I don't know if you've ever played paintball, but if you have someone just running away from you, you're like, you just paint their back and watch them fall. Mommy.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add to Abaddon? Sorry.
Yes, I do. One moment. One thing. Wahapedia.ru. Wahapedia. Abaddon. This is such a great site. I love Wahapedia. So looking at the 9th edition data sheet, he has this ability called Dark Destiny, which he does not have anymore. Well, he does have it, but it does something completely different in 9th edition, though. In 9th edition, Dark Destiny, this model has a 4-up invulnerable save, which, okay, he still has that. He didn't lose his invulnerable save. In addition, this model cannot lose more than 3 wounds in the same phase. Any wounds that would be lost after that point are not lost. His damage cap is gone. You can now kill Abaddon in one phase. You don't have to spread it out between the psychic phase. And I think that's good, because with the elimination of the psychic phase, damage caps become exponentially more powerful, because you've reduced the amount of phases you can deal damage by like 33%. Psychic shooting charge / fight.
Yeah, phase caps are gone. Little spoiler for future episodes, Gaz doesn't have a phase cap anymore either.
I've never seen I've never managed to kill Gazgul because of that phase cap.
You
And
haven't.
this is going to be so
My friend who
good.
plays Necrons has.
Yeah. Well, he's a better Warhammer player than I am, so, which I know that's a low bar, but he actually is a good Warhammer player. Dude knows his codex. I mean, not anymore because codexes are gone, but and
Yeah.
Necrons definitely are getting nerfed. At least Necron Warriors are getting nerfed in 10th edition, which we also will talk about probably with him on the podcast at some point.
Dude, isn't it crazy that freaking Abaddon gets how many? 24 melee attacks?
Is that really what it is?
Yeah, so he has
You're
Drakian
right, because he's
and
got two melee
and
weapons.
and that tick that's there. So if you guys see a tick next to the melee weapons or range weapons, it will usually indicate at the bottom of the datasheet that says when you are allocating attacks, you have to choose from one of the weapons profiles. There's no tick. He gets to hit with both. So that means he's got 24 attacks coming in. Every single one of them is a 2-up. His sword
22.
has devastated. Yeah, 22, sorry. Or no. Yeah, 22. I can't do math. It's fine, guys. Make fun of me in the comments. Please engage with our videos. I love you.
So stupid.
So his sword has strength 14, so like he can probably start attack. He could probably cut through some vehicles with that. AP -4, damage 3. That's insane.
Just for our listeners, read off the damage value on Dracnian. The strength value.
Strength value 14. 14, guys.
That's a tank killer.
Well, and even that, that's like if you wanted to be an absolute savage, that's an infantry unit model killer too, because you're going to double the strength of almost everything you walk up to. And 8 attacks, if you're hitting on 2-ups, I'm like, dude, you can expect to hit almost every single one of those.
So
that's
here's some perspective to how strong that is. Let's see. Lionel Johnson with his sword fealty, the stronger version of the attack with it's the strike ability that has lethal hits, is only strength 12, which is still, don't get me wrong, that's very, very strong. That is going to kill most things really well. That's strength 12 for Lionel Johnson. That's Lion the Johnson. Strength 12, AP -4, damage 4. So it's going to deal more damage to things that it actually hits, but it's not as strong. So strength 14, that's huge for a melee weapon. We do see Mortarion, who is a demon Primarch, with his melee ability Silence. His strike weapon profile also is strength 14, damage 4. So Abaddon the Despoiler, who is not a Primarch, will be able to go toe to toe with some of these Primarchs. He's only got 9 wounds. That's actually less than the Lion, and it's way less than Mortarion. Mortarion has 16 wounds because he's massive. But like, oh my gosh.
That's bonkers.
And I mean, that's what we see in the lore. That's why he's the new lore master. That's why he's the new war master. It's because he's really, really strong, and that's why he has the favor of all these dark gods.
And he's also the best leader that's currently not a demon prince, I should say.
Yeah. Let's see. One moment. I'm going to pull something up real quick. Okay, real quick. So I want to compare him to 2 more Primarchs really quick, because that's like, I mean, that's the test, is really like how strong is this character. Abaddon compared to Angron, who is the Primarch of the World Eaters. Angron, his Samniaris and Spine Grinder, which is 1 weapon profile, strength 16. Nothing is going to live in front of Angron. He's so
that is the point.
Strong. Oh gosh, he's so strong. And his damage is D6 plus 2. Imagine that is, oh my gosh, that's 8 times 8. That is a maximum of 64 damage. That's over half the health of a Warlord Titan.
I would love to see that. I would love to see Angron fight a Warlord Titan.
That would be insane. Also, to put it in perspective, Abaddon the Despoiler could probably go toe-to-toe with Rebute Gilliman, because the Hand of Dominion is a strength 14 weapon. Somehow I feel like the Emperor's Sword should have a higher strength value than the Hand of Dominion. But okay. That's not why we're here. Also, I'm totally all over the place, but I really like fanboy over the Primarchs a lot because they're so cool. Like Games Workshop in Warhammer has done a really good job of like creating the lore around these characters and make like really, really interesting characters. They're inspiring. They're so cool. They really are the stuff of legends. In 9th edition, Rebute Gilliman had a 3-up invulnerable save, and now he has a 4-up. And sorry, this is still in 9th edition. The Lion had a 4-up, and Rebute had a 3-up. In 10th edition, the Lion has a 3-up, and Rebute has a 4-up. So they've swapped places as far as durability, which makes sense. One of them has a shield, and the other does not. It didn't make any sense that Lionel Johnson with the Emperor's shield was less durable than a guy without a shield.
Made no sense.
It made no sense. The Lion's 10th edition datasheet is so much better. I don't know, for all those people who are like, I came here for Chaos Space Marines, and now they're talking about regular Blueberry Marines, and I'm not happy about it. One thing I was hoping to cover today, which they didn't give us, is this morning, the faction focus for Titans came out, which is sort of their own faction. Like each faction has, well, I shouldn't even say that each faction has their own Titans because some of them don't. But I was really hoping the Chaos Titans would be on here, but they're not. I mean, they do have the Titanicus Traders rule, which is you can use Adeptus Titanicus datasheets in this document to represent Titanicus Traitoris. Okay, so yeah, a Warlord Titan datasheet. You just swap out the keyword for Adeptus Titanicus to Titanicus Traitoris. So actually, we do have the datasheet for the Warlord Chaos Titan. I love the Titans. If it didn't cost more than my rent to buy one of these, I would. The Warlord Titan has a 10-inch move, toughness 16, so Angron would get a 4-up to wound a Titan, which is not bad considering it's a walking church.
Yeah.
So it'd be although I don't think Angron would survive the massive firepower of a Titan.
Not even close.
It's got a 2-up armor save. Basically, if you don't have AP against this thing, dude, you're not getting through. And it's got a 5-up invuln against ranged attacks only. So the best way to kill a Titan might be to get up in its mug and start hacking at its toe beans. It has 100 wounds and doesn't really get bracketed, which is now an obsolete term. It has the damaged rule. If it has 33 or less wounds remaining, you subtract 15 from its objective controlled characteristic and subtract 1 from the hit roll. It's got an OC of 30. It's got a leadership
if it's sitting on an objective, it needs to, like, it should be right there. Nothing gets to take it.
It's got a leadership of 6-up, but I'm pretty sure with the Titanic keyword, you can't battle shock a Titan, which makes sense.
That does make sense, yeah. There's a lot of gun profiles on there. Oof.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it is the biggest unit you can field in a game of 40K. And honestly, it'd be the kind of thing where if I went to my local game store and someone was like, hey, I have a Titan, do you want to play? I'd be like, yeah. First off, I would say, yes, I absolutely want to play. And second, I am aware that I'm going to lose, but I still want to fight it. Because this thing in 9th edition is like, it's either 3,000 or 4,000 points. Like, I think you have to be in an apocalypse game mode even to field this thing.
Oh, I was going to say either that or your custom homebrew, but that would mean a single Titan would literally take like my entire army, your entire army, like our every single model we own might be the same points value against one Titan.
Yeah, in ninth edition, these were 4,000 points. It was there's a Reaver Titan that is 3,000 points, which I almost picked a Reaver Titan in one of our virtual games. Oh, excuse me. The Warlord Titan in ninth edition is 5,500 points.
It's a lot of points. Good Lord.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. So we're not going to go point through the Warlord Titan's weapons. What are your two favorite weapons on here?
On the Warlord Titan? Oh, easily yes. The probably Apocalypse Launcher and the Sun Fury Plasma Annihilator.
Oh my gosh, yes. So let's see. So the Apocalypse Launcher, that's really cool because it has the blast keyword and already has 20 attacks. So the new blast rule means you get additional attacks on top of what your attacks profile is. And it's got that range characteristic. No way.
200 inches. You don't need to measure. Inches.
If it's on the table, it can hit it. If it's on the
At this
table
point, it would be better to be playing
probably
room.
Hit it.
Yeah, it would be better playing in a room as your entire like battlefield rather than like playing this on a table. Like, no joke. And it only has a 10-inch move because it doesn't actually need to move.
Well, if I win the lottery, I'm going to rent out an empty room and we can play with Titans like real boys. What was I going to look up? I'm going to look up the blast rule because we're going to learn weapons with the blast. So you add 1 to your attack's characteristic for every 5 models in the target unit, rounding down, and can never be used in a target that is within engagement rule of any unit from the attacking model. So that's way more simple than the old blast rule. The old blast rule is like if it has more than 6, it's +1, and then if it's like 10 or 20, it's +2. It's like, why do you have to write such a simple concept in such a confusing way? Now, just divide it by, you get an extra amount of tax equal to the number of models divided by 5. That's simple that's way more simple in my mind.
A lot of these weapon characteristics have blast. So if you got into melee range, it would have its Ardex Defensors and its macro Gatling Blaster, and then that's it. And then it has melee weapons too, which are going to do an absolute like crap ton of damage.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at the Ariok Power Claw. I was like, oh, that's not actually that many. That's not that actually many attacks. And then I was like, oh, the Power Claw has strength 20, AP -4, damage 24. So
you could almost kill Abaddon 3 times over with 1 hit.
You could kill another Titan in 1 turn with that attack. That's crazy. Cool. I mean, that's so Chaos Titan. That's just like he's going to have this like little corn dust sniff it up the nose of the Preceptor, and he's just like, I'm gonna cut you in half. Laughs in God Machine, which is really what these are. Oh, so good. So good. What else? It has an ability called Wrath of the Omnissiah. In your shooting phase after this model has shot, select 1 enemy unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks, and that unit must take a battle shock test, which makes sense. If you shoot a Sun Fury Plasma Annihilator and somehow it doesn't kill the whole squad, they're battle shocked. They're like, our sergeant was here a minute ago and now he's gone, and now there's just a crater.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The guard.
Pretty much.
Imperial Guard would have no
Imperial
chance.
Guard would not do well. You'd have to literally field probably 1,000 models to be able to take down the Warlord Titan, which would be a really interesting test if we had that much money and that much space, is literally seeing how many Imperial Guardsmen it takes to take out a Warlord Titan.
That is something we would have to do on Tabletop Simulator, I think, to do it practically.
Yeah, let's just do the quick weapon highlights, and then we'll basically be done. There's two weapon highlights on the Chaos Space Marines. One of them is for the Bale Flamer, which is going to be one of the new aircraft, I believe. Or sorry, the Helldrakes, my bad. The Bale Flamer is the actual weapon that we're going to be highlighting. And this has the Ignores Cover and Torrent ability. D6 plus 3 attacks, which is going to be really, really cool. Because this is such a fast unit, being able to get in close to an enemy unit and basically being able to make it take a battle shock test like right away is going to be super nice. Or I guess not all flamers do that, but
this one
it's going to be also hitting.
It has the
this is going to
ability.
be hitting. Yeah, that stinks. It doesn't make him take a battle shock test, but is going to be really, really nice because potentially 9 auto hitting wounds is going to be really, really good at strength 6. This is going to be nice, and each one of these has a pip of AP and 2 damage. So that's a dead Space Marine for every single wound that goes through. So that's going to be that's pretty strong for a flamer.
Yeah. So your Helldrakes are going to be perfect for flying over objectives and just clearing things off of them. If the Helldrake is anything similar to the Infernus Marines, once we get the actual data sheet, I would not be surprised if it had an auto battle shock test on that flavor.
I would say, yeah, it probably does, because that'd be kind of non-characteristic of flame weapons, but yeah. Then our second weapon highlight. Yeah, our second weapon highlight is the flesh metal guns that come out of the Obliterators. Super excited about this because basically these Obliterators can do a little bit of everything, meaning they can use Focused Malice, Ruinous Salvo, or Warphail to basically do a different thing each time. So your Focused Malice is going to be your tank killer at strength 12, AP minus 3, damage 4. Again, less attacks, good range. They're all 24-inch range, which is pretty good, and it has the Melt at 2 ability, so keep that in mind as well. Ruinous Salvo is going to be nice for just kind of like general firing. It's got AP minus 2, damage 2, so that's kind of its middle of the road. It really does give a good middle point between the Focused Malice and then Warphail, which Warphail is going to give you all the way up to D6 plus 3 attacks with the sustained hits ability, and it has less strength, less AP, but is 1 damage. So you can ideally choose the exact weapon you need to inflict the most amount of damage to your enemies.
Mm-hmm. So one thing real quick, let's talk about what the Melta rule is, because this is new. This is a new rule for Melta guns specifically. Melta X. So you increase the damage of that gun by X. So if it's Melta 2, it's plus 2 damage. If it's Melta 4, it's plus 4 damage when targeting units within half range. So in this case, it's 24 inches. If the target you're shooting at is within 12, guess what? You get plus 2 damage to every single shot fired. It's really, really good. And then sustained hits on the Warphail. So sustained hit, each critical hit scores X additional hits on the target. An unmodified 6 is considered a critical hit. Just FYI. So that's really good.
That's just exploding 6s. Or exploding X number of 6s, yes.
I believe so. So yeah, that's really good. That is going to be good for shooting into large model units because you're going to get extra hits. I mean, actually, it probably would be good against tanks too, because then you have more chances to get through their armor. And then let's see. And then we already talked about the blast characteristic. So like we said, we're trying to slowly feed you guys the new rules so that when these new models launch, I'm assuming that as soon as we hit June 24th, 10th edition rules are going to go live, and we're going to need to know this stuff. Probably for our game on the 24th, we'll probably still be playing 9th edition rules because I don't think Battlescribe is going to be updated by the 24th. So, yeah. However, I have heard good things about the new Warhammer app that's coming out that's going to be able to tell you your rules. I believe the indexes for your army are going to be free and they're going to be downloadable. They should be. And I believe there's going to be an army builder on that. So I'm excited. We'll probably do a review of the new Warhammer app when that comes out, but we'll see. Let's talk about the news. We have a little bit of news, according to Warhammer. If you watched last week's episode and you're like, wow, your news segment was a real bummer for all those Star Wars things, well, this one is also mostly a bummer. We still have no idea when we're going to get solo releases of the Strikeforce Agastus models, and we have no idea when we're going to get a solo release of the Lion. So the Lion, the Primarch of the First Legion, he came out in a tiny box set with 3 Blade Guard veterans as his bodyguard, and Games Workshop didn't make enough. They ran out immediately, and now you have to buy them from scalpers on eBay, which don't do that. Please don't do that. Just wait a little bit.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Like, make those scalpers eat that money by not buying their product. That's the only way you can defeat scalpers, is not buying from them. But I understand that some people are like, oh, well, I really need this for whatever reason. Like, I'm going to a tournament maybe on June 25th, and I'm running Dark Angels, and I need the Lion. It's like, okay, that's not a great situation, but I understand. Warhammer Skulls, which is their video game showcase, has come and gone at this point, and we have no word on when Space Marine 2 is going to come out. We did see a gameplay trailer, so they're still actively working it. So this is still way more communication than we've gotten from Star Wars video game devs on the stuff that they're coming out with. Dark Tide got a new content release. They released, I think, a new map, some new weapons, some changes to the ship, so you can buy like cosmetic items. So really some like quality of life stuff coming out. However, we have had no word on whether or not Dark Tide 2 is actually going to get a console release, which is a huge bummer because I would very much like to play it on my Xbox.
I would too.
So
can't really run it on my PC. It goes real slow.
And I have a stronger PC than you do, and it's real slow sometimes. Sometimes at the beginning of missions, I have to like sit there for 30 seconds doing nothing because I'm hit with so much lag. And it's expensive to upgrade a PC. They just came out with the 4000 series cards, graphics GPU cards. They are expensive.
Yeah.
So follow our Patreon so we can both upgrade our computers, please. Thank you.
Yep.
We're not going to spend your Patreon money on computer components just to play video games. We'll spend it on computer components to do video editing. I kid, sort of, kind of. Bolt Gun. Warhammer Bolt Gun. This is the pixelated boomer shooter that came out. Dude, it's really fun. Have you had the opportunity to play it yet?
I have, and it actually runs on my PC, so I'll be playing more of it tonight, probably. I might even stream some of it tonight.
That would be dope.
Tonight being June 2nd.
June 2nd. Catch us over on the Talk About Tatooine Twitch channel. I'll probably be there, moderate. Actually, I'm going to be watching Into the Spider-Verse tonight, so.
Dope. Nice.
I'm so excited. Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Miles Morales is Spider-Man. So something we actually got in a 10th edition leak. So in the core rule book, so we got the core rules, right? So we got, the book is this big. We got this portion that's only the rules. Well, in this portion, there's a bunch of artwork and lore. And apparently there's new artwork of the Emperor. And there apparently is skin on his face. I know that sounds like a weird sentence, but in old editions of artwork of the Emperor, he is literally just like a skeleton mate that he's a skeleton. He's sitting on the golden throne.
He's a corpse.
Dead. He's a corpse. But it seems like in the new artwork for 10th edition that the Emperor might be improving, which is something that we've been speculating a lot about. It's like, is the Emperor going to return? We talked about kind of the biblical foreshadowing of High Fleet Leviathan and about how Leviathan in the Bible is, very scary to mankind, but to God, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's like a pet to him. And the Emperor is like the closest allegory for the biblical God in the Warhammer universe. Obviously, it's that's sort of where the metaphor ends, because Warhammer is a terrible, terrible place. But that's my prediction, is that's some historical foreshadowing to what we're going to see in 40K, is the return of the Emperor. I think it's going to happen.
That's going to be super cool.
First,
the artists
are
very deliberate about their artwork, yes. So they're not kidding around. That's a very intentional decision.
Mm.
So, all right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're at that 1 hour mark, so we are going to log off here. Every single one of you watching is amazing. Make sure you guys leave us your theories in the comments. If you think Andrew's an absolute crackpot and you think the Emperor's not going to come back, let us know. We'd love to hear it. So make sure to leave us your theories in the comments. Share pictures of your models on Twitter and Instagram. We'd love to see them. And shoot us an email at talkabouttatooine@gmail.com. If you have any questions that want to be featured on air, make sure to subscribe and then like this video so our algorithmic overlords will slice this video into the feeds of other like-minded folks. We'd love to do an Ask Us Anything segment for you guys, so that we can get all your questions answered. And until next time, the Emperor protects.
Close your eyes.